Even men at the top of their game find themselves wanting more from life. Whether it's more meaning, unshakable confidence, a bigger impact, more money, deeper love, a hotter sex life, or a powerful legacy. Find out how good your life can be on this episode of Man Alive. Also, as I've supported men in their love and work lives for 15 years now, many men ask for the right words to say to be more successful, attractive, and desirable. But I found it's not so simple as giving scripts or lines because every man is different. So giving words or scripts would be like giving a tall, thin man a shorter, wider man's pants, or vice versa. The words have to make sense for you and your personality, and there's so much happening beneath the surface that people are responding to. If you're interested in how to become a better lover and leader in your own unique way, go to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz, or you can text ALIVE to 44144. It only takes a couple minutes and you'll start to get an idea of how you can be both more respected and desired. After you fill it out, we can schedule a time to review your quiz and talk about your specific challenges and desires. So again, go to either shanajamescoaching.com/quiz or text ALIVE to 44144. That's ALIVE to 44144. Enjoy this episode of Man Alive. Hello and welcome to this episode of Man Alive. I am thrilled to be here today with Udo Erasmus. And Udo, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, what a blast.
And I'm thrilled to do this. It is such a wild time out there, and we were planning on talking about total sexy health and your 8 keys to aligning with one's own nature and nature. And we are in California, and nature, well, I'm in California, you're in Vancouver. Nature is on fire. The world is crazy. There's so much going on. And you are a human and a spirit who's been around for a long time and has delved into the depths of wisdom traditions and, science and physics and biology. And so I feel immensely grateful for your wisdom today. And thank you for being here.
Thank you. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So let me just give you a quick introduction. So Udo is most known for his brand of oils and writing around fats that heal and fats that kill, and really supporting people to be healthy and to, I would say, illuminate the truth, right, about oils and how they impact our body and the negative consequences. And you've also conducted more than 5,000 live presentations and 3,000 media interviews. You've traveled to 40 plus countries with your message about achieving perfect health. You've distributed and sold at least 25 million bottles of your oils.
Something like that. Yeah. I lost track of the counter.
Yes. So, you have a lot of experience, and I'm wondering, where do you feel moved to start with the state of the world and everything happening? What do you want to dive into first?
Well, you just started saying, California's burning, and I know there's some hurricanes coming, and, there's still the pandemic and Corona, and everybody's, you got one side and you got the other side, and everybody's fighting, and, it couldn't be worse.
It could be worse.
It could be worse. I was born during the Second World War, and I was a refugee kid before I was 3 years old.
Wow.
And we were fleeing from the communists who were chasing us in tanks and trucks.
Okay, yes,
and,
it could be worse.
And we were on roads, like we were mostly women and children, young children, on horse-drawn hay wagons.
Oh my God.
Fleeing from farm country in Poland, westward into Germany. And the communists were chasing us in tanks and trucks. And the good guys, the allies, those are good guys, right? They were using us for target practice from planes.
What?
Yes.
They were shooting at you?
Yeah, they didn't tell you that in history?
No.
The allies were shooting refugees?
Oh my God.
Yeah, they bombed Dresden. That was a city of refugees. Anyway, my point is, nobody right now is shooting you.
Right.
And you're not fleeing for your life.
Right.
Is there a lot of problems? You bet.
Of course.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I survived that war.
Yeah.
Something inside of me took perfect care of me while I was freaked out, anxious, hungry, and all the confused and all the stuff that goes with the chaos of war.
Wow.
And The war ended when I was 3.
Mm-hmm.
I was still bitching about it when I was 27.
Mm.
So the war had been finished for 24 years,
Yeah.
but not inside of
But
me.
no, not inside of you.
Because I
It's
was
still
carrying it
impacts you.
around and say, well, what do you expect? I was born in a bloody war. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
so I carried that with me. And one day I was sitting on the porch in the sunshine, not doing anything. And it occurred to me, oh my God, through all of my drama and all of those traumas and all those situations and all of those following 24 years, something inside of me has taken perfect care of me. And I have never, ever given it any attention, never, ever said thank you.
That part
Ever,
that had
ever,
taken care of you.
yeah, never, ever recognized what a friend lives within me.
Huh.
And that was, for me, was the beginning of a big turnaround.
Wow.
Now I look at the war as a gift because it rubbed my nose in what happens when we don't deliberately cultivate peace when we can.
Yes.
Then we're always going to be drifting towards war. And so, and we're in the process of doing that, but we can still bring our awareness home.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you're in lockdown.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in lockdown. You can't go anywhere. You can't go outside. Well, then go inside.
Right.
Because inside is where everything you've ever really deeply down wanted is inside of you already.
So
but you never look in it. We look away from it instead of looking into it.
Yes. And what do you suggest, right, for people who are new to looking inside and who are very used to the world out there of, you know, I'm going to go do that activity or buy that thing or talk to that person, and suddenly now faced with, I can't do so many of those things.
Right.
How do you suggest people start to go inside?
Okay, so it has to do with human nature, and maybe we'll get to it. How you are, where your awareness is when you're in your mother's womb, and where your awareness goes after you're born, and what happens in that process. It's a very cool story. But the first thing is, you have things that you like to do, and they're your substitute for being still with yourself.
Yes.
And then they end, or they're put on hold, or they're blocked, or you can't do what you want to do. There's a feeling that comes with that, disappointment, or maybe a feeling of loss. Or a feeling of loss, or grief, or blues, or loneliness. And you always feel them like right in here, like in this area,
chest,
right?
in the chest area.
That feeling is not about the habits that have been put on hold. That feeling is actually your heart calling your attention to come back home inside to reconnect to life.
Yes. Right. In my practice, that's the doorway. Anything that you're feeling.
That's the doorway.
Actually the doorway.
That's the doorway.
When we don't judge it and make it wrong. And
no. So what I say to people, because most people don't like that feeling. It's intense. It can be intense, can be painful. So what I say is, look, it's not going to kill you and it's not going to hurt you. It's actually your greatest gift other than being alive.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because if it wasn't for that ache that you feel when you're disconnected, you would never find your way back home. So it is calling. So what I say is, instead of judging it and trying to distract yourself from it or deny it or blame it on somebody or ignore it, sit with it. Get really quiet, get really still, sit with that feeling. Accept it, acknowledge it, embrace it. It won't hurt you, won't kill you. It's actually will pull you home. And that far behind that feeling is the connection that got disconnected when you were born and had to get to know the world. That you were connected to when you're in your mother's womb, because when you were in your mother's womb, I call it the Buddha tank, right?
The Buddha tank.
The Buddha tank, right? When you were in your mother's womb, there was nowhere to go.
Right, that's all you were connected to. That's all you were aware of.
Because there was nowhere to go. There was nothing to do. Everything was taken care of, and it was relatively safe. And so your awareness, or the focus of your awareness, was at rest, inside, in its source, in life. So you lived the Buddha life or the master life for as long as your mother's pregnancy was. So you know that place. And now when people search for, I'm looking for fulfillment, I'm looking for contentment. I'm looking for wholeness. I want to find the love. I want to find the peace. Whatever that thing is that people search for.
Yeah.
That's what they're searching for.
Yeah.
And the way you do that, you have to bring your awareness back inside.
Yes.
And how does awareness focus? Well, anytime something changes on the outside, your awareness is drawn out through their senses to check it out. Because you have to do that for survival. Because you got to figure out very quickly, is this friend, is this foe, or is it irrelevant?
Yeah.
And if it's friend, you embrace it. And if it's foe, you run like hell. And if it's irrelevant, you just ignore it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's important for survival. So going out is automatic. But there's nothing inside that's going, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Right.
So your awareness is not automatically drawn inside.
No, I once actually heard it described as, like, one teacher described it as there's this very subtle pale pink, and outside is like this bright fuchsia and, you know, flashy.
Oh, yeah.
So it seems like there's more going on out there, and then we get distracted.
Right, except for the ache in the heart.
Yeah.
Because that ache began with your loss of your connection to yourself.
Yes.
Early on in the process of getting to know the world. So we started present inside in our mother's womb, absent outside. Mm-hmm. Then we became present outside and absent inside.
Yes.
And the only thing that will call you home is the ache in your heart.
Now, I know,
how cool is that?
It's cool, I would say. I think it's beautiful, actually, profound. And having been on a spiritual path and someone who has been drawn to that ache and that study and that internalization for decades, I still struggle, you know, to stay there, right? The outside still pulls my attention. And for many people listening, there is this outside world. There are kids to take care of, there are families to take care of, there's money to make, there are all these things. And so I guess I'm curious, you know, what you suggest.
Yeah, I can already tell you. I know where you're going, okay?
Yeah.
The struggle is a misunderstanding. Your awareness will always be drawn outside by change, whether it's sound or light or movement or color or feeling or smells. So your awareness will always be automatically drawn outward. Yeah. And going in will always have to be intentional. Because you're always going to be going out, you're always going to have to make the time, take the time, sit still, turn off all your gadgets and all your distractions, and spend some time just getting present to the space that your body occupies. Yeah. What is in that space? And you can literally close your eyes and get quiet and breathe lightly and see how deep inside you can go. First of all, see how still you can become. Yeah. See how deeply still you can become. See how long you can stay there. And while you're there, see if you can see anything or feel anything or hear anything or taste anything. Right. Because the truth is, your life, which is energy, can be seen inside. In the darkness, you are light. Yeah. In the silence, you are sound. Yeah. In the emptiness, you are unconditional love. Yeah. And in the blandness, you are sweetness.
Right. And I also
you are that energy.
Yeah. And I also find that even blandness, or, you know, in my practice, there are ways that I go inside and I find nothingness. And I'm tempted to overlook that and think, but I'm trying to get to something, right? But the nothingness, as I actually rest with that and stay with that, it turns out to be profound as well. You know, and then there become these more subtle distinctions of space and presence and awareness.
Often when people say, well, you know, you need to sit still, and people will say, well, I tried meditation, but it's so boring. Yeah. And I say, well, celebrate the boredom, fall in love with the boredom, because notice how peaceful the boredom is. And what happens, why you get bored, is you're addicted to activity. Yeah. So you're addicted to activity. Do. You finally sat down. You finally got out of the addiction. You haven't quite got into the ecstasy yet. Right. Or into the bliss yet. Yep. And so you're in between the two. But the fact that you're bored and there's nothing going on You should celebrate that because you're on the track.
There's
between the
that
outside,
gap, right? Between the outside and the inside, that bliss, you know, and I've had the bliss states, but I don't stay there necessarily. But I do find that the doorway to those is through the pain or the ache or whatever. But do you stay there now? Like, are you rested in?
So the second part that most people misunderstand, and I mean, this is my journey too, right? So it's not like I'm not coming from some place where I knew more than everybody else. I got there like everybody does, right?
Through the pain.
So the second thing is, first of all, feel the pain. I couldn't shake it. After I was 17, I couldn't shake it. It took me 30 years to understand what that was because nobody in those days talked about stuff.
Right. This is not a short journey. That's what I'm saying.
No, lifelong, because your senses will always take you out and your ache will always bring you back.
Yep.
And if you can appreciate the ache for the power it has to bring you home, you will find your peace behind your peace and your contentment and your feeling of being unconditionally loved behind that ache. But the second thing is that what we started to do is I'd sit down and do my practice and sit still and just end up in beautiful places, feeling so good, right? And then I get up and then I go out and I'd be right out there again.
Yeah.
So at one point I got really irritated and I said, damn it, there must be a way that I can stay in that feeling and drag it into the world with me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can be present inside in that feeling and active outside doing what you need to do.
Right.
But it takes practice.
Yeah.
It took practice going back home.
Yep.
It took practice going out, although it was pretty automatic. But it takes practice to go back home. Yep. And then it takes practice to stay home while you go out.
While you go out, exactly.
And now you're present in all of your being and your surroundings. And when you can live like that, it's very easy to go through the world. You don't give up on your peace in order to change your kids' diapers.
Yes.
Right? You can change the diapers in peace, or you can change the diapers in stink.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's the cherished state. In fact, that's the master state. The masters, if you really, if you understand the experience, the masters lived in a state where they're able to respond to things from the depths of being fully present in all of their being. That's why they were powerful. That's why they knew what people's problems were. That's why they could heal people. That's why they came up with wisdom that nobody else had ever heard before. Because they were peeling it off the inside of their being. Now, but I want to go back a little bit.
Okay.
So if I'm hang out with you or all your friends or all your viewers, right? And I point at them and I said, hey, whose body is that? Most of them would say, that's my body.
That's my body. Yeah.
Right? That's my body.
Yeah.
And so then I say, well, you just busted yourself because you've just told me that you're not the body.
Right.
Live as though you were the body because, you do everything for the body. You eat and you sleep and you poo and you work and to get money to get stuff for your body, right? But you said, this is my body. So you're saying I'm the owner of the body.
Yes.
So who is the owner? Who are you as the owner of the body? And then sometimes people say, well, I'm Udo, right?
Right. They go
I said, no. That's just a label somebody stuck on you so they could tell you apart from other people. And when they called you, you would come and not somebody else would come.
Yes.
Right? So that's a label. That's not who you are. You're not your name. You're not your body.
Agreed.
Well, who owns the body? Well, who runs the body? Well, life weighs nothing, runs everything.
Yeah. Life
is omnipresent in your body, like everywhere present. Life is omniscient, knows everything about your body because it runs the whole thing, using a genetic program that it created in order to do so over time. And it's omnipotent. It is all power in you. Yeah. Well, when we were kids, we were told omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient
did not exist.
Is the definition of God.
I was taught more that I was crazy for feeling all of that or having a sense that was all real, even though I was raised in a religion
Yeah.
Right. I guess I was taught, right. I was taught that that was God. That was not me. I
Yeah.
was to turn to God for
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
But where can you turn to God? Except how can you get to that? You don't get to that on the outside.
Right.
Where's God on the outside? Right?
Haven't found it
And
yet.
no, yeah. And then they said heaven is up there, but then they took spaceships up there. They never found heaven.
Yeah.
Why not? Because heaven is a state of being. Because
Mm,
God is a state of being.
yeah.
Something present in every human being, every animal, and every plant. The energy that comes from the sun goes into plants, into
Yes.
molecules,
Yes.
goes into you. You break them down, that energy is released. You're living on sunlight.
Yeah.
Light. So when somebody says you are my sunshine, yeah, it's true.
That's
But
true.
but they're not your only sunshine, because you got
Right.
your own sunshine too.
So tell
When
me
you and the
how.
subjective experience of that
Yeah.
sunshine that we've described in science
Yes.
from the outside,
Yes.
the subjective experience of that is light, sound, unconditional love,
Yeah.
peace, sweetness.
Yeah.
That's
And you bring together, right? You bring together the science and the spirit, or the science and the soul, the science
yeah.
and the being versus the doing.
Yeah. No,
And so how does this apply, or how does this sit as the foundation of your your 8 pillars of health and the way you see and support people to be healthy?
Okay, so the book is called, it's an overview book. It's called The Book on Total Sexy Health, the 8 Key Parts Designed by Nature. So what we've already talked about pretty much all of them, just in this little conversation without specifically naming them. But if you start from the core of your being, like the foundation of your existence, I call that internal awareness. It's an awareness. There's nothing in it. It's just presence.
Yes.
It's just peace. It's probably its biggest attribute is peace.
Yes.
So there's peace with biological roots, not a peace because you stopped shooting, but a peace that is a feeling, that is a presence, that is an experience.
Right. It doesn't have anything to do with the external.
No, it's well, it runs everything. It's your peace inside of you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the 8th one is expanding that out to infinity. Because that same peace is everywhere.
Okay.
It's always been everywhere. Yeah. Even on a battlefield when soldiers are fighting, they're having a battle in a place that is filled with peace.
Wow.
But their focus is not on the peace. Their focus is, you're my enemy, I'm going to kill you. The other guy is saying, you're my enemy, I'm going to kill you.
Yes.
If they actually, but the peace is inside of both of them, around both of them, between both of them, above and below them, it's everywhere.
Wow.
If they were in touch with that peace, they would sit down and share sandwiches.
Right. So, okay, so there's the peace within, and then there's the peace.
So that's
infinity.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah, so, no, I just want to go the in between, because I think, you're speaking my language. I'm not sure that everybody listening is like, oh, I can sense that piece. So give us some tangible pieces too for people who are looking and this is new for them.
Right. So if you're not experienced, like if you experience peace in your own being, you know that peace is everywhere.
Yes.
You also, so that peace will inform your perception, because you'll see a world in peace.
Yes.
And it will also inform your doing. So you will build a world that is a reflection of that peace.
Agreed.
If you're angry, you're going to see enemies and you're going to be always armed.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
If you're fearful, you'll see danger and you'll always be trying to protect yourself. So your state of being basically creates your world.
Yes.
Right? And you could have 3 people standing side by side, one in peace, one in anger, one in fear. They would have completely different experiences of exactly the same world.
Yes. Yeah.
So we define it. We have that much power.
Yes.
We actually define our perception and we define
that's
how we
profound
create the world.
To really just, double click on that, right? That we
really double click on it. Yeah. Whoa.
The way we perceive creates the world around us, in large part. So
well, because we act into our perception.
Yes.
Right? We don't act into truth. We don't know what truth is.
Yeah.
Mostly, unless we do our homework and get to that place,
inner place
in the core of your being. Right.
And then how
so that's
your body.
We're going one by one.
Okay.
Second one is life energy.
Okay.
That's your power. That's your master. The master is life energy.
Mm-hmm.
Life energy, I told you, comes from the sun, blah, blah, blah. Internally, you experience the light, sound, etc., etc.
So you're saying life energy comes from the sun, comes from the food you eat, things like that?
Well, in light energy, I mean, energy fills the universe.
Yes.
Awareness fills the universe. Energy fills the universe. Both are formless and indestructible.
Yes.
Never get sick, never die.
Yep.
Your body could be completely wrecked and on its way out. Your mind completely disorganized. Your thinking completely disorganized. Your social scene a completely dysfunctional mess. And your environment a disaster area.
Yes.
I'm talking about where we started, right?
Yeah.
And life energy and awareness would not be affected by any of that because they're beyond those states.
Right. And in your pillars or in these 8 keys, how do you foster that life energy?
Every day you take time to get in touch with it.
Okay.
That's it.
Similar to the awareness, but
because
different.
that's all you really do. Yeah, similar but different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But internal.
Yeah.
For you, internal. Okay. Third is inspired creativity. That's the bright part of mind.
Mm.
And out of that comes, it's the bridge between life energy and the world. And out of that comes invention and creation and inspiration and genius and originality and uniqueness. And that's the shine of the energy out of you into the world.
Yes. Beautiful.
Okay? Number 4 is the body. That's where we usually think about as health, right?
Uh-huh.
So
right. That's where we often start.
Yeah. Food, fitness,
mm-hmm.
right? But then also detox or avoidance of toxins
mm-hmm.
and digestion, because digestion, everything your body is made of is actually your eyes came out of your stomach.
Yeah.
This sounds crazy, right? But the digested food, and then it got taken here, and life made an eye out of potatoes or potatoes and carrots or whatever, right? Right? And same for your teeth, and same for your hair, and same for your skin, and same for your liver, and same for all of your organs.
Yeah.
And same for your babies, right? They're all made out of food, right?
Yeah. And amazing.
Life uses mothers to re-embody.
Yeah. And so amazing that, so many people are still eating or are now eating so much processed and packaged food. And, I've gone through tons of digestive and health stuff, and it's really helping me to see and understand, that our digestive system is like, they're not calling it the other brain, or that there's so much happening there that affects our body.
Well, actually your digestion is more important than your brain. There are creatures on the planet that are really good at surviving. They've been here way longer than we have.
Yes.
Have no brain at all, but they have a really good digestive system.
Yes.
Right. And so more of your moods and your states, your physical, your changeable states,
mm-hmm.
more of them come from your digestive system than come from your brain.
Yeah.
But your brain gets input from them. The brain is just the brain is life's computer for organizing and perception and figuring it all out. Right? It's a servant to life. It's not a useful thing by itself. When it gets disconnected from life, it gets really crazy.
Yes.
So you want your head to serve your heart, not the other way around. And definitely the heart needs to be the master. The heart going back to life energy and awareness.
And awareness, right?
Right.
Beautiful.
And then the computer serves life instead of serving stupid ideas. Right?
Yes.
Because anything that's not taking care of life is a stupid idea. Life is the treasure on the planet.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
Right? But we forget that
it's easy to forget that
when we have it too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we have it too easy, it's easy to forget. Yeah. Okay. So that's and then the food, fresh, whole, raw, organic, is nature standard. Living in line with nature. Eating the foods the way nature makes them.
Yeah.
Because because the whole program of digestion and bodybuilding was made in order to work in the natural system out of which we came and everything comes for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you get out of line with nature, then your health goes bye-bye too.
Yeah.
Right? So that's number 4. Number 5 is survival smarts. And that's the between you and the world. And that's about safety, protection, reproduction. And that depends on one feeling powerful enough to deal with stuff.
Yeah.
And that comes from inside again. That's the invisible part again. And learning the skills you need to some extent to be able to predict and preempt the craziness that comes from not being prepared.
Yeah.
And COVID was a good example of how it goes when you're not prepared.
Yes. Were you prepared, or did you have a sense that this was coming, or that something like this could happen?
I've not given that so much thought. What I've given thought to, though, is that awareness can never be affected by a virus.
Right.
Life energy cannot be affected by a virus. And I can tell you that, I'm not sick, but my body might be.
Right.
Right. So sickness affects the body, affects the mind, affects the social group, affects the environment. Well, if all your awareness is in the changeable,
in those, right.
Yeah. Then whenever something unexpected happens, you're going to freak out.
Right.
Right. So I didn't freak out. What I instead do, if it gets too much, I turn off my television. And then I sit in my living room
and feel the peace that's actually there.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I said, I just sit there and I said, oh my God, there is so much peace here.
Right. I'm actually safe here.
Right. And I'm safe, and there is no problem.
Yeah.
Somebody's creating a problem with words about something that is unseeable. Right. Virus. Right. And I'm breathing. I'm not having any problem. My body might have some problems at some point.
Yeah.
But can I enjoy the fact that I have none right now?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be good?
And
how many people are sitting in their homes worried?
Yes.
And worried when they could be at the same time completely in peace.
Yeah.
And then do what you can to live in line with nature and your nature, because that's your best protection from the virus too. But the guys in media don't tell you that.
No.
And the guys in medicine don't tell you that, because they just do the disease management, even though we call it healthcare.
Right.
It's actually disease management, and they are misrepresenting the service they provide.
Yeah.
There's a place for that service.
Yeah.
But
right.
it should
They're not actually helping people get healthy from the core.
But it should not be misrepresented.
Yeah.
The key is that they're misrepresenting it. Because if they said, "Oh, we're just disease management, you got to find health elsewhere," a lot of people would look elsewhere.
Right.
Right. And so that's it's a business, right?
Yeah.
That's a business consideration. Okay. So 5 is survival smarts. 6 is social group. And social group is about connecting, membership, doing things together, doing big projects together, cooperation. And the test in the social group is always that you want to be yourself, and at the same time you want to belong, especially if you don't know how to belong to yourself or belong to life. Then you then you do trade-offs. Then you give up. Then you become inauthentic.
Yes, to try to fit into a group.
Yeah, because you're trying to fit in, and you try to be somebody who you aren't. When you do that in relationships, the relationships don't work, because you can't do that forever. Yeah, because your real being will show up.
Right, and it's exhausting.
After the honeymoon is over.
You don't feel loved. Right. You feel even more lonely, even though you've got someone near you.
Right, but how cool is it that unconditionally loved from inside? Yeah. Life loves my body unconditionally, has no other agenda, 24/7, 365, lifelong. And when I feel unconditionally loved, we could probably have a pretty good dance together.
Yes.
Because I'm not expecting you to be my fulfillment.
Exactly.
And you're not expecting me to be your fulfillment, because we cannot be each other's fulfillment. Fulfillment means what you're full of. That's inside of you.
Yes.
Right?
This wisdom. This is very profound wisdom that if people actually lived this way, it would be a very...
Yeah. Well, but I'm sure there's something to think about for anybody who's listening.
Oh, yes.
Right? And then number 7 is the natural environment.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's there in Norway, for instance, kids who get out of hand or kids who get sick by physical diseases, they take them out in the woods and have them hang out in nature. It's healing to hang out in nature. Yeah. Why? Because it's part of our system.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is why it's so sad that we're losing so many trees and so much nature right now.
We had 10 trillion trees. 10. Let me get that right. We had 10 trillion trees 1,000 years ago, and we have 2.5 trillion now.
Aye.
And trees moderate weather. So in summer, when it's really hot, you walk under a tree and it's cool.
Yeah.
Right. And in winter, they keep it warm, and in summer, they keep it cooler.
Yeah.
So we're losing that. And do we need to replace it? Yeah, we do.
Yes. Of course.
Yeah, we need to be a lot more respectful and grateful for the resources nature provides, because nature provides them all, just about all of them, for free, right? And we need to be respectful of its power, because it can also be dangerous.
Yes.
Right. But I think, and then we need to make sure that the cycle, that we don't interfere with the cycles. Like one of the biggest one is we take plants from the farm. And the topsoil goes into the plant.
Yeah.
We eat the plant.
Yeah.
We poop it into a toilet. The toilet gets dumped in the ocean. So all the topsoil from the land is ending up in the ocean. We need to put that back.
How do you get it back where it's supposed to be?
My joke is, well, you should be eating your food raw. You should be cooking your wastes, not in a pot on your stove, but they should be cooked and sterilized and then returned
and then put
the
back
soil.
into the earth, more like composted as opposed to put into the ocean.
Yeah, just like we would do with our vegetables.
Yeah,
and it should be organic, because the pesticides do not belong in the human body.
No, they don't.
And if they kill living creatures, they're probably not good for living creatures
inside of us.
Include us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And about 60% of the pesticides we use cause cancer.
Yeah.
And the industry's been lying about those for years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
it's horrible.
And then, so that's the environment, just a little bit about it. We need to deal with water and I think one of the biggest project is intelligent water management, so that we don't get the droughts and the floods.
Yeah.
And in some places they get way too much, and in other places they don't get any.
Little. Right.
So how do you get it from too much to too little? How do you balance that?
Wouldn't it be amazing if this is what we were focusing on instead of fighting and having power over? Yeah.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And number 8.
And in 1910 they had a grid system over North America to end droughts.
Interesting.
But then we got interested in fossil fuels, and that thing got put on the back burner. It still needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then number 6 is, I call it infinite awareness.
I thought we were on 8.
No, sorry, 8. Yeah.
Oh, 8. Okay.
That was 7. Environment is 7. 8. I call that infinite awareness. And infinite awareness is the same thing as internal awareness. Only if you sit down and you come into your internal awareness, you go in to the core to do that.
Yes.
And then you expand out. It does not stop. Awareness doesn't stop where your body stops. Yeah. It goes on and on and on and on. And some people call it, you are a point in awareness. You are a point with no surface.
Yes.
And everybody is a center of that, but there's no surface to it. So it's formless, indestructible, always there. And it's the source of everything in the universe, not just me, not just us.
I'm really getting the total sexy health, right? This sense of, when most people think about health, it's like, how am I eating or how am I exercising? And you've brought in the social component and the spiritual component and the natural and the surroundings, the environmental component and the depth of awareness component and spirituality. So
because everything affects health.
Yes.
So when you're not inspired, then you're heading towards depression.
Yes.
And depression is not good for health.
No.
Conflict and no harmony with people.
No, not good for health.
Not good for health. In fact, when we were kids playing soccer and somebody would do something we didn't like, we'd say, "You made me sick." So we even knew as kids,
right,
that other people affect our health. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and why sexy? Because sexy is the power word.
Yeah.
And sexy doesn't mean, we're not just talking about genitals here.
Yeah.
We're talking about full on, vital, excited, present, attractive, right?
Yeah.
That's sexy.
Yeah.
And we talk about sexy art and sexy technology and sexy architecture in that sense. And the thing is, each one of those 8 has a different nature and a different function, needs a different kind of attention on a regular basis, goes off in a different way, and responds to a different kind of intervention. And each one confers some of that sexy to you.
Yes. And
when you get out of line with one, what it confers to sexy goes away. And when you get back in line, you get it back.
Get that sexy back.
And nothing is more sexy than being fully present in all of your being and your surroundings and not lost in thoughts in your head.
Agreed. Thank you so much for your lifetime of study and inquiry and, again, all the way from the deep inner wisdom to the biology of creating these oils for people's health. And is there any last thing you want to leave people with? Maybe talking a little bit about your oils and where people can find you?
Oh, yeah. I have two websites. One is Udo's Choice, UDOS choice.com. And that's where we talk about oils, enzymes, probiotics, a few other products, and you can read about it.
Great.
And then this stuff that I'm talking about is theudo.com, theudo.com.
Beautiful.
And we have some courses and, this overview, and that's what I'm most interested in doing for the time I have on the planet, because it's so important. Because the problems that we have in environment and in politics and in relationships and in health will not get fixed until we feel taken care of.
Yeah.
Because when I don't feel taken care of, I'm always taking, because I'm always looking for what can I do that'll get me taken care of.
Yeah.
When I feel taken care of, I become a giver, because I can look at it and say, wait, it's not about me anymore. I'm taken care of. If I don't feel taken care of, I know where to go to feel taken care of.
Yeah.
Because it's inside of me.
Yeah.
And now I can say, okay, well, what needs to be done around here? Where can I help? And let me help, not because there's something in it for me, but because it needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that change for me was a huge change.
Yeah.
When I started at 30 to go to where the care is.
Yeah.
I got a little help. Yeah. And then I was like, okay. And since then, like when I worked with oils, I knew it needed to be done, because oils are the most sensitive nutrients.
Yeah.
And they're damaged the most easily, and we throw them in the frying pan. And more health problems come from damaged oils than any other part of nutrition.
Really?
And I said, you know what? We need to make oils with health in mind. I developed a method for doing that. I was broke for 15 years. I moved in with my mother because it needed to be done, and she was willing to let me do that.
Amazing.
And after a while, it got pretty good as a business too.
Yeah.
But the impulse wasn't, let me do oils because that'll take care of me. It was, this needs to be done. Of all the things in nutrition, this is the one most confusing, most damaging. And what turns me on, I love when I can help somebody make the quality of their life better. Because we could all live like the masters, and we're all living like slaves.
I'm so grateful that you were committed, even when it wasn't a thriving business, that you just knew, right? This is what needs to happen for health. And so again, I appreciate your commitment and your dedication and your lifetime of service.
Yeah. So my last comment, find what you need to find within yourself to be able to live the quality of life that the masters lived in. Become the master in your own sphere.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for letting me rant.
Yes, I love it. I'm so glad you joined us for today's episode of Man Alive. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and it gave you something to consider and explore in your life. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful for you to subscribe and write a quick review that helps men like you find us. And again, head over to ShanaJamesCoaching.com/quiz or text the word ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144 to get a sense of how you can become a better lover and leader. You'll start to see how you can be both more respected and desired in your unique and genuine way. If you don't feel as confident or as excited about life or love as you'd like to be, this quiz is a really great starting point and will guide you toward a more passionate love life and a more inspiring and successful career. So again, text ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144 or head over to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz. Join us each week for a new episode of Man Alive.